Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, interesting week, right? I mean, he's the star, and then he gets to go on International Fight Week, and that's fun. It's really fun to go to a fight that's really big when you have no pressure. As a matter of fact, not only do you not have pressure, you're still in the glow of people coming up and telling you good job for your last performance. You have the opposite of pressure. You have this relief period. Oh, and you're going to go and take in the action. It's fun. Okay. So Emmett's in the middle of this. Well, Emmett comes out. He does an interview. I can't remember the last time that Emmett went to the media. I just can't remember it. He goes to the media. This was so important to him that he wanted to make this point. Uriah Faber comes over the back of this and makes the same point. Here's what it is, guys. Emmett goes to the event, International Fight Week, Adesanya versus Cannonier. He doesn't have good seats. The end. I mean, that's the story. Fighters get brought in, you're comped, you're taken care of, maybe someone will even guide you to your seat type thing. You find out right there, where am I sitting? That's the point that I'm talking about, but the boys all sit together. There's a fighter section. When you guys are watching at home on camera, you'll look over, there's some panel of the octagon, and behind it, a bunch of faces that you recognize. So, well, no, that's not where Emmett was. Emmett was somewhere else. It was much higher up. He was separated from the group, and as he deems it, these seats are so bad, I'm the #1 contender. They're going to have a fight tonight between Volkanovski and Max. I take on the winner. And now I'm being disrespected. I'm being pushed up here. I'm wondering what that means. If this was not a mistake, if this was done on purpose and I'm pushed up here, is this a clue to me that I am not next in line? That I am not the #1 contender and I'm not going to take on the winner of this match? Now, I got to stop you right there. I did not realize he was. I did not realize that Emmett was in the position that he is next in line. So when Emmett says this, I sit back, I got to think about that. Right? I'm going to poke holes in this argument, see what the problems are. He's right, which is great news. Like, I really like the match. I like the style, like the X's and O's of Emmett versus Volkanovski. That's interesting to me. And by the way, I thought Volkanovski had nothing interesting left. I really did think that. Okay, we're in a little bit of a period of time. Take a deep breath on Volkanovski. Let's find the next contender. Might have some fresh blood. Your ear's always this wild card floating out there that could pop in at any point. You know, we might see somebody, but let's see what happens. This was where my temperament was. It's right in front of my face. It's Josh Emmett. So that's just one thought. I'm just bringing that to you guys because that was quite exciting. Then Josh even went, I'm going to go fight him, or maybe Uriah offered this in Australia. And they were really putting it out there that whatever it takes, boom, this is our guy. We're not going to have any problem with Volkanovski. If there's any credit and respect, we got to show Volkanovski. He got no problem. Sooner the better, you pick the opponent. Tough words. He means it. Very few guys do. So now all of a sudden, I'm swirling a little bit on this. Emmett versus Volk. Yeah, I like that. And here's why I'm going to do this full analysis. So I'm bringing this to you because Volkanovski's in another spot. Right, that's the Josh Emmett story. The seats didn't have as much to do with this story as Josh bringing to our attention that he is next in line. Of which he's starting to question because of his seats, but there's the tie-in for you. What's Volk going to do? So Volkanovski, as much as I'm telling you, will have no problem. Josh Emmett, fill in the blank, don't even tell me till I get. We can count on Volk. We really can. But Volk is talking about doing this champ business. Now, Volk's got about 4 days from right now to have that locked up. If Volk can't have that locked and wrapped up, stop talking about it. At least in the short term, you're not going to get it. The fire's hot right now. He got Dana to comment on it only one time, and Dana said he can do whatever he wants to do. Now, I don't know how sincere we should take Dana at that. I think he was more speaking about, man, this guy can start writing his own ticket. I'll listen to him. I don't believe Dana was making any kind of a commitment of, he'll let me know, and I'm going to. He's got this one wish out there. I'll grant it wherever it goes. I don't think that's right. Anybody that interprets it like that, I think interpret it wrong. Guys might remember. A month ago, Glover Teixeira wanted to rematch Prohaska. And I was really pushing. So that this would get to George and Ed Soros and back to Glover. You got to do this now. This cannot be a thought for later. As great as you know this fight was, as close as you were to win it, all of these things that you think are going to be arguments for the jury, a month from now, when it comes up, 2 weeks from now, for when that next matchmaker's meeting it, no, those are distant memories. This has to be done now. You got to go to the people, you got to go to the media, you got to get the commitments, and it's got to be now when this is hot and fresh and everybody's drunk on the excitement. of what a back-and-forth battle that was. Didn't get done. I'm only bringing you that example to reinsert it here. Volk's clock is ticking. I get that it's limited. I get that getting to go up and have a champ opportunity are rare opportunities. I do understand that, but I want to make sure that you understand the position that we're in at 155. A lot of times there'll be a match, guys, right? There'll be somebody with a wish and they would like to go up. But what they're now trying to insert their nose in is so much less than what is already planned that just from the business side of it alone, just from the temperament of you, the audience, and how you're going to react, the guy with the idea had no chance in the first place. But I want you to take a look at what's going on at 155. Because the time's now. If I was to tell you it's going to be Islam versus Oliveira, you're going to like that. But think of where you're at on that. A scale of 1 to 10. Think of where you're at on that. Whatever that number is, if I told you it's going to be Volk versus Oliveira, I think that you're definitely equal with Islam and maybe in ahead of it. And it's very relevant, right? Because when the politics of the business side starts to come in, I think he's in a good spot. And I have to remind you that there's no champion at 155. If there's anything that we did wrong, it's to choose that the right thing to do is to consider Oliveira the champion and move forward. That was a mistake. First off, it's not true. It just simply is not reality. But it was also a mistake where we thought we were being good guys. And we're going to fix this, and maybe that rule should even be a little bit different, but we're going to come over the top of it, and we're going to do that by simply ignoring it. What if we hadn't done that? What if it was very clear, hey, look, guys, I don't know what's going to happen there. Boy, what a strange circumstance, but the rules are pretty clear. We got no champion. So I guess we're going to go out, we're going to look for some guys, see where all of this goes. Imagine that that was our temperament instead. If it was, we would be in a situation today to have two guys who could make their argument that should be fighting for the belt. Now, Oliveira's is going to be very strong, but just imagine that it wasn't set in stone, because it is. Where we have it right now, it is 100% for sure, not even maybe Oliveira, who's he going to take on? Imagine that wasn't the case. Just imagine we could have a conversation about not only one guy, but two guys. You do all of a sudden start to see where Volk entering makes that whole thing very interesting, because I could play with Volk 3-4 different ways. I just did a Volk versus Oliveira, and I asked you to compare that to your temperament for Oliveira versus Islam. Fair and hard and pretty close. Favoring Volk, but pretty competitive. But now I could start playing a different game, and I could say, yeah, but Volk's coming up, and he's going to take on Islam. And all of a sudden, you're standing back a little bit. You go, whoa, that's a completely different match, and you're going to feel something different about it. And we can start juxtaposing these different things to see which cream rises to the top. It just changes the dialogue. Changes where we're at right now. What do you think about Volk going up and challenging Oliveira? Real simple question, but then you just have to ask yourself, compared to Volk going up and challenging Islam, if Volk's going to get this done, it's got to be now, right now. Things are hot. Door appears to be open. Emmett's coming after him. Emmett gets that locked up. Boom, changes the entire conversation. How bad does Volk want this? Does Volk really want to do it? He hasn't got Oliveira to speak about him yet. In fact, the opposite has happened. Oliveira came out today and said, and this is a quote, guys, forget about Conor. Islam, and he went from there, making it very clear that he is accepted, that he is going to take on Islam. He made that very clear. Why? Sheer coincidence? Conversation come up we don't know about? Or did he realize Volkanovski is now a free agent and he didn't want to look in that direction? It's a fair question by me. Like, we'd all be surprised to find out if Charles was backing down from somebody, but in all fairness, you got to plan your moves. You got to do it strategic. The whole reason there was a resistance to Islam, or there was a resistance to Dariush, is no commitment wanted to be made, because we're hearing this talk about Conor. Right? You're always keeping your options open, but all of a sudden, when you start to see where those options are going, you do start to narrow them down. Is that what happened? Did Oliveira change his tune on Islam because Volk is a free agent? It's what Volk should have said before I just did. Now it's ruined. Volk should have seen that. He should have seized on it. He should have ran. Right? There's things that Volk should have and needs to do if he wanted to strengthen his position and his ability to go to 155 pounds. But if he's going to do that right now, no champion, vacated title, people are arguing resumes. He could step in front of the line of everybody if we're going to do it by resumes. He has a very good claim to go and do it. A very hard, bureaucratic situation, which is to even have the opportunity. That door is so wide open for Volk. But it is closing, and it will be shut. It will be shut by this weekend. So let's see how Volk plays it. A lot up in the air, a lot unlikely. Emmett versus Volk seems to make sense to me. Islam versus Charles seems to be the direction we've moved for a while. Why stop it? Can we stop it? That is up to the players, and right now, it's up to the strategic promotional marketing abilities of Volkanovski.